I wrote this book because in the last 5 years, I do about 100 speeches a year. And every time I was speaking somewhere, talking to business people and governments around the world, I got one single question every time after my talk, is what is going to happen to people? What's going to happen to humans? Because, technology is now capable of doing pretty much anything. In 5 years, you will not be searching Google for the best sushi or whatever you want to eat in Brussels. The system will already know where you are, who you are, what you want to eat, where your friends are, how much money you have for eating. It may actually eat for you as well. Artificial intelligence is going to be absolutely everywhere. I think it could be fantastic. It could be both amazing or very creepy. And we're going to need to trust those companies that do this with our stuff. If we don't trust them, they shouldn't be allowed to do it. Intelligent machines are not thinking like we are thinking. Right? Let them think whatever they want. We can use them for the grunt work, right? No big deal. But let's not teach them to be emotionally intelligent. Technology is now at the place where we're at an exponential curve of change. And that basically means that we're no longer living in the linear world. You know about Moore's law and Metcalfe's law and all these things, right? But basically what we're seeing here now is a mind-boggling change. We're at 4, we're at the takeoff point of the curve, and now science fiction is becoming science fact. Don't be mistaken for a second here. We're at the takeoff point, which means in 7 years we're 30 times as far along in technology as today. The kids of my kids will never know how to drive a car themselves. They will just go into a computer car. They will never know what a CD looks like or a DVD. In fact, today, if you buy a CD for Christmas and give it to your kids, they'll call a therapist. And I would propose to you, as the future of Portugal is concerned, it's not enough to disrupt. Okay? To disrupt is a good thing to do, and it works for a while, right? But you also have to construct something new. But the German car business is a great example. What happened here is that the future of the car industry is not about cars. Right? It's about mobility. Here's the lesson you can learn from the music business. If you don't react, the future will look bright, but you won't be part of it. The efficiency is for robots. That's what machines do. That's not the final destination. Happiness is the final destination. Customer happiness is not achieved just with efficiency. Have you heard a customer that says to you, I really love your company because you're so efficient? Right? What's the point of that? I mean, why would they love your company? Because of relationships, trust, brand, purpose, meaning, combination of 100 things. Efficiency is just one of those. Don't be mistaken, digital transformation does not mean we're going to be ultra efficient and that's the end of the story, right? When you're ultra efficient, you become a machine. When you're a machine, you're worthless. To keep on thinking linear is extremely dangerous. Chances are your business in 5 years will be entirely different. In 10 years, it could be the reverse of your current business. This is the wave of change, I like to say. If you're in the media business, you're already in that. If you're in the e-commerce business, of course, the mobile phone business, and of course the car business. But waiting on the beach, education, banking, energy, insurance. If you run an energy company or a bank, look at the music business, that's what's going to happen to you. 10 years ago, if you would have gone to a major company and you said you should hire more people who are critical thinkers, they would have said, no, they're absolutely not. We don't want people with emotions. We don't want people throwing sand in the gearbox. Right? But Picasso already said, computers are really stupid. They only have answers. We want people who ask questions. The people you hire have to be exponential humans to be successful in this future. Not just great tech people. Not just the left brain. If you have kids, don't let them learn anything that can be automated. Any routine, gone. This thing here that all of us have now, this is our external brain, right? It's our second brain. For some of our kids, it's the first brain. But basically, this is where we keep our phone numbers, our dating, right? Our money, our music, and very soon we keep our intelligence in here. These devices will have 1 million times the computing power in roughly 7 to 8 years, and unlimited connectivity. So they become the global brain. Right? And that could be very helpful, but also very disconcerting, because maybe your own brain would stop working. In fact, the Google project is called the global brain. The attempt is to build a brain. So Facebook, in fact, has a brain of 2 billion people. That's us, inside that brain, and they can use that to think. And the next step, of course, is this, right? We are praying at the altar of technology. But that's a little bit harmless. We laugh about this. We wake up at 4 a.m. and set off a tweet or something, Or, instead of dating, we just Tinder and we get to the result in 20 minutes. But, that's amazing, but it's not really destructive to society. Right? But imagine if this phenomena becomes exponentially powerful in 10 years, and we're talking about several thousand times as big. Could we even exist without the internet? Would we want to get up if we can't connect with our digital cortex? Technology is morally neutral until we use it. It's very important to keep this in mind, that we can't really have both very easily. What we need to figure out is how we use the global brain to our advantage, but not be used by it. Who would you trust to create the digital copy of yourself? That's what they're doing. They're creating digital copies of us. And we like the idea because it's convenient. Right? It's clearly a huge challenge that we're going to see here. How far will we take this? Will you take it all the way to the cyborg? That's what's being suggested. We're becoming technology. Do you believe that humans are technology? If you go to Silicon Valley, the answer is often yes. Right? We're just fancy software. Or bad wetware, what's called wetware, right? Blood, flesh and blood, right? We need upgrades. There's already a saying in the US that says you're either wired or you're fired. Right? You're always on that, and in a few years that means you use augmented reality, you use virtual reality, in 10 years means your brain is connected directly to the internet. And I'm not joking on this one. The biggest danger in the future is not that machines will kill us, or take over, or will move to Mars because machines have taken over the world. The biggest danger is that we become like them. That we become like machines, that we become useless humans. Maybe you forget how to date in real life because you're using Tinder. Right? Maybe you forget how to navigate in a city because you're using Google Maps. Well, that's okay, I guess, right? But are we going to forget how to vote? How to make up our own mind? Right? Are we going to forget how to have relationships? I call that machine thinking. If you think that your business is a machine, you are in deep trouble. Don't think for a minute that technology is your savior. Right? It is not. Technology is a tool. And it's a magical tool. Right? And because it's so magic, we sometimes think that the tool is the purpose. Right? The tool is not the purpose. The purpose is us. Right? And we should not confuse those two things. When we talk about digital, we're not talking about us. We are not digital. We should not try to become like machines, because we would make a very bad job at being machines. And so the question I have for companies that do the Internet of Things, and regulators and governments, right, how will we use the Internet of Things to empower us, right, for human flourishing? That's to stick with the Greek philosophy, that's the ultimate goal, right? We want to be happy. We may be the last generation of humans that still knows what offline means. Well, in fact, you could argue, of course, we're different generations, right? Most people don't know what offline means. It's a mental state now. As I like to say, offline is the new luxury. This is what I call hell then, right? Hell and heaven. Technology could be fantastic, and I think it will be if we do it right. 90% is on that way. Or it could be hell, right? It could be worse than anything we've read in George Orwell. We're going to have computers that are 1 million times as powerful as what we have today in roughly 6-7 years, quantum computing. This computer could crack the RSA encryption code in 14 seconds, running all 300 trillion variations. It could also work on our human DNA. If we have machines that are this powerful, How are we going to control them? Will they actually be our servants, or will they be our terrible masters? We need to seriously consider a global mission control. We can't just leave this issue hanging up there and saying, well, it will self-regulate. It will not. We're talking about $43 trillion here. This will not self-regulate. Who is mission control for humanity? Well, you know where it is now. It's a tiny triangle in the San Francisco Bay called Silicon Valley. That is mission control for humanity. There's an ethical imperative that everything we do with technology has to have a sort of collective use of mankind, right? It has to lead to a positive result. If we don't do that, we're going to be in an arms race. An arms race of artificial intelligence, robotics, geoengineering, and human genome editing. Gerd, his 62 facial muscles express the following: Gerd seems to be angry, right? A machine can do that. But can a machine be angry? Well, it doesn't exist. There's no existence. Without existence, you can't be anything. You can just simulate things, right? So this is really important. Machines don't have ethics, but we must have ethics. If we don't have ethics, we die, right? Every human society without ethics has died. We want innovation, we want transformation, we want to go forward, right? Well, we need a framework of a sort. I mean, imagine if we hadn't regulated the oil companies. Do we need environmental protection? Nobody likes protection. I mean, clearly, that's a shocking word, just like responsibility. But I'm not talking about greenwashing here or any such things. I'm talking about if data is the oil and we're making trillions a year with data, do we need a protection that says there's something that is beyond data? Do we need that? Do we need an EPA for humanity? There will be no future where we can say, let's go back on technology. Let's not use mobile devices. Let's not use the cloud. It's not safe. Let's not use the cloud because it's Americans, and the NSA listening or whatever, right? Those are concerns that we all have, but we have to address them. We cannot go back with technology. What we have to do is find a balance. Embrace technology, but don't become it.